flag in the air, and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Brian Twining, we did it. We have made it to the end of the 2022 NASCAR season. I cannot believe it is here. It's been a hell of a ride. We got you went to your first race back in March. I went to my first race with you just a few weeks ago. The championship is here. We will obviously get you set with picks and predictions as we always do for each and every race. We'll also recap the craziness that was last week at Martinsville. Because my God, was that not one? That was one of the most fun races, I think, from the whole entire season. Obviously, there was a ton on the line. And then our guy, the Watermelon Man, he figured some stuff out. This is the Angle of Pursuit. We are your NASCAR home. We will be here throughout the offseason previewing all of the team moves, the new drivers, hopefully get some guests to talk about the drivers you should be considering for 2023. But before we worry about any of that stuff, let's recap the week that was and let's get started. Martinsville was fucking crazy. Ross Chastain is my hero. Shouts to, we talk about, oh, that's video game like stuff. That's literally a video game. Like he's like,
honestly, at this point, I don't really care like what side of the fence you stand on, whether or not it was safe, whether or not they should make a rule against it. You have to give it up to him for being probably the only person in the Cup Series in NASCAR to make that move to try to get into the playoffs. Like he literally epitomizes do anything to win. And it worked.
Yeah. I think going forward, it's probably a good idea to limit or outlaw that somehow. It's probably not very safe, but
I also think it was an extremely unique situation because I don't think you're going to see somebody doing that in the middle of June at Dover when they're just racing for a 6th place finish. Like this was to get into the championship race. I can't stress that enough. This isn't just some random race. This is like somebody throwing a Hail Mary to get into the Super Bowl in football terms. Like you can't discount what was on the line for the reason he made the move. And it's probably the only reason why he did that.
Yep. Shouts to him because obviously holding those long odds for the championship, we get to live another race. There is potential this week for him to cash that, and I could not be more excited. Obviously, your guy Christopher Bell goes and wins the whole damn thing, and now he is sitting in the Final Four. Brian, his season has been so crazy. I feel like we've talked more about him than almost any driver. We've talked about his ups and his downs.
Yeah.
We gave away a freaking signed mini helmet of his. It might just be the year of Christopher Bell in 2022. Obviously, Logano has just kind of been sitting, waiting for somebody else. And then Chase Elliott, who's been rock solid all year long, has been so great. Winning races, being really competitive. It felt like he was pretty much there the whole race. And I think this is a fun mix of young guys, older guys, up and comers, exciting stories. Like going into the season, if you had told me Ross Chastain would be one of the 4 best drivers, like nobody would have believed that. Obviously, once we saw what he could do the first couple months, there was reason for optimism. He looked like he'd evolved. Team Trackhouse going from a brand new team to racing for a championship is pretty wild. But I guess what are your kind of overall thoughts, and then thoughts on Martinsville beyond just what Ross did?
Well, first of all, I want to go back to Christopher Bell winning the race. I mean, at this point, if you're not betting him to win the championship, I don't know. I can't help you. I mean, he's literally won both win or go home situations during the playoffs. He clearly has the cojones to match Ross Chastain He showed once again he has been the most consistent and best Toyota all season. You know, I had tweeted out something about Chase Briscoe, betting him at 150-1 to win the championship prior to last weekend's race. But I also piggybacked that with a Christopher Bell at 50-1 to win the championship right before the race, because this dude has shown it time and time again. He can put together a single race run unlike anybody else.
Yep.
And, you know, him and Chastain, like the fact that Chastain comes into this weekend as with a shot at the championship after he went through that peak and then that pretty steep downfall after winning a couple of races. It didn't look very good for him.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for this Sunday. I think that all four of these guys have an even shot to win this race and take home the trophy.
Yeah, and I think your point on Bell and Briscoe is a good one. Like, both of those guys, they had long shots to win the championship, but the odds to win that race, they were really short. So that means if they won, they were in.
Yep.
So might as well take a shot, because as we can see, we'll talk about the odds, but these guys are 3-1, 2.5-1. So getting a 50-1 and being able to find ways to maneuver within there is absolutely wild. So let's recap our betting cards, where your boy found some life, got back on the horse, had a productive week, mostly due to that Ross Chastain slingshot saving my ass and cashing one of my best bets. The Chastain top 5, 2.5-1. I put 3 units on it, cashed that. Larson over Truex, cashed that at plus money. Christopher Bell obviously over Blaney, cashed that at plus money. Chastain over Elliott, cashed that at plus money. Keselowski over Reddick. I thought for a couple of times Brad was going to win the race.
He was. I don't know what the hell, like RFK, all of a sudden, they just took a little bit longer than Trackhouse this season, but I'm pretty intrigued to see how they can run next year in their second season. Like if this is what they're doing to close out 2022, as long as, of course, they're not getting any more penalties for illegal tampering with the car, I think RFK will be in some good shape.
Yeah, I think it was a good race for Team RFK as long as they stop with the shenanigans. Disappointed Eric Almirola, but can't hit them all. A little more red on your card, but it was something you set yourself up for. And,
I did.
You said you were going to go hard on it, and well, you did.
Yep. Chris Buescher bit me in the ass because he did not have speed at all.
There was a few. So let's look at our DraftKings lineups where it was just a bloodbath, not really strong showing. It was interesting though. The two guys, I think this might be my lineup. I made a few. Let me see if I can find the one. I believe this is the one that we did. Obviously having Christopher Bell was money. Chase Elliott was really, really good. And then kind of not so much in other spots. Did another Chase Elliott Byron lineup with Chastain. If I had gotten Christopher Bell into this lineup, I think I would have had a really nice day.
Hey, Ty Dillon, even though he crashed, he still got you 9 points. I mean,
yeah. So, it's not a great week there, but a decent week over here. I do want to look at our to win the championship odds. We have a few bets alive. For me, I have Christopher Bell. I have Ross Chastain. I have Bell at 20, and I have Chastain at 60. I think I'm trying to remember if I have 55 or 60 on my personal betting card. And then you have Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain as well. So we have a couple options as we head into the final race, which is kind of exciting. There was a chance, I guess, at the end of Martinsville, it could have been Ryan Blaney. He looked really, really strong. Couldn't quite get there at the end. I thought maybe Keselowski would get in there and mix it up and cause a lot of stuff for other drivers and make it, the final four kind of crazy. But we're holding some tickets. Action Network and Odds Checker are just like an absolute mess. They have the Xfinity guys mixed in. So we're just going to go off of DraftKings. I'll pull up BetMGM to see if there's any difference, but we have some serious numbers here, Brian. We have 4 guys, the final 4. Chase Elliott at plus 230, Christopher Bell at 3-1, Ross Chastain at 4-1, and Joey Logano at 4-1. And then
again, like we said, that just shows you that taking the long shots during the last race of the round of 8 just makes way too much sense, because look at the odds for Christopher Bell, for instance, who's now the second shortest odds to win the race, essentially win the championship. And although I didn't add it to the card here, I was able to get it at 50-1 before the race for him to win the championship. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. The one thing I will suggest is, if you do like one of the final 4 drivers to win the championship and win the race, I believe most books will let you parlay them. So look into that. See if you can, because obviously if you think they can win the race, then they're going to win the championship. So if you like Logano, if you like Chastain, Christopher Bell, you can parlay it an outright with the championship outright, and you can at least get yourself a decent payday. And I think a big part of why the books are making these guys so short.
Well, I also, something to keep in mind too is I went back and did a little research on this. Since we've moved to the current playoffs format where we have this last race for the championship, the final 4 drivers have won all 8 of those races. Wow. So nobody that's racing for the championship has been able to take home the victory during this last race since that time. So basically, you're not playing the odds if you're going to bet a Kyle Larson or a Denny Hamlin shown on the screen here. However, leave it to a guy like Hamlin, who probably feels pretty spurned right now, to say F you to everybody and still race extremely hard.
Yeah. Obviously the Larson last year, he seemed dead in the water until an amazing pit stop vaulted him into the front of the pack, and he wins the race and cashes that ticket for me at 12-1. The one thing I will say is, yes, it sure seems like one of the elite guys is going to win the race. And that's another reason why I kind of like parlaying whoever you think it's going to be with their outright odds and getting yourself a little bit better payday. There is 3 names. You mentioned Hamlin, I think makes sense. I do think Kyle Larson, I don't really know what happened, but ever since Bubba smashed him into the wall, he seems to have figured some stuff out, or he's not as nervous. And then Ryan Blaney, it really feels like now that he can't advance and he can't win the championship, this is the week, much like the All-Star race, where he finds a way to get to victory lane.
I wouldn't put it past him at this point. Like, the one race where it doesn't make any sense to bet him to win, I could definitely see him finally getting the W. But like I said, I honestly, with both of us holding Christopher Bell and Ross Chastain to win the championship tickets, I almost feel like a way to hedge for us. Instead of just betting them to win, you just go to the window and bet both Chase Elliott and Joey Logano pretty heavily. Yeah. And then still wind up profitable for the championship race and for the season-long bet of them to win the championship.
Yeah. And I know he is your nemesis, and that there would be no better way for him to get revenge. But Joey Logano has been sitting there ready for this race. He's been thinking about Phoenix for a couple weeks.
Yep.
He won the race in Vegas. We were there. Locked up his seat. He's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, he definitely took it easy the last 2 weeks. That's for sure.
And he is good at Phoenix. He's good at the flatter one, the shorter tracks, the 1 mile. I think he has a really good chance. And I was honestly surprised to see him at the bottom. And obviously Chastain has been incredible. I mean, and Christopher Bell has been incredible. And Christopher Bell has his pit woes. Ross Chastain, love him, but we talked about the roller coaster season for him. the fact that Logano's just been so rock solid, so strong all season long. It sure feels like a week where he could, seal the deal, get himself a championship. And for him to be priced where he is, I think it is pretty wild.
That would be absolutely disgusting if that happens.
I know.
Just to let you know. But I mean, it's definitely within the realm of possibilities. I will note that during the spring race here in Phoenix, although the strongest driver was probably Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain finished runner-up during that day. He was the best finisher among these Championship 4 drivers. Yep. But then Christopher Bell has looked incredible at similar tracks of Richmond and New Hampshire, running. I think he has like an average finish of 3.5 over the last 4 or 5 trips to Richmond Raceway. So he's a guy who we've been talking about him all year. We said at the top of the show, I'm probably going to go to the window with him to win this week because it is essentially a win or go home situation. And like I said, he has been pretty damn clutch in the playoffs already.
Yep. Your guy Ryan Blaney back at the spring race started first on the pole, ended up finishing 4th, but had the best driver rating of the day. Led the most laps. Was another guy that runs really well, and then in stage 3 has some woes in the pits or has some issues that make it a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, to your point on Chastain, started 17th, ended up finishing 2nd. Got to 7th by the end of stage 2. So he's a guy where even if he doesn't qualify well, can find a way to get himself in the mix at the end. It will be interesting to see how they qualify, because poor qualifying could give us a little better value. I don't think the books will go super duper short or give us any real nice price on any of these guys, even if they qualify 23rd or something. But could be a way to look that if you want to be a little patient and gamble a little bit, see if you can't get a better number, or maybe take a little bit now and take a little bit later. But
that's a good point. I didn't even consider that, is like if say one of them gets to go to the back of the field or something. Mm-hmm. I wonder how that'll affect their odds.
Yeah. I don't I'm not saying they're going to get to like 15 or anything, but maybe you get a 6 or
I was just going to say, I don't think it gets anywhere even near double digits.
Yeah. And if you're able to parlay it with the championship future, especially if 2 of the guys qualify in the top 6, you might be able to get it. And honestly, in Phoenix, I don't think it, like Ross Chastain showed last year in March that, if you start around 20th, you can still get to the front and you can still have a very good chance to win this race. So that is another way to look. I guess of the non-championship odds, for me, it's really 3 names that could actually win this race. And for honestly, probably 2, but I think Ryan Blaney is absolutely in play. I think Kyle Larson's absolutely in play. And then you mentioned Denny. I think he has a real shot. Outside of that, I think
I have zero interest in betting any of these people.
Yeah, I think I'd rather look at top 3, top 5, top 10 to try and find value. The books aren't posting a lot, so we're going to give you what we can give you. There is some matchups. There is some top 10s. Obviously, we'll be back on Sunday morning. If Brian and I find stuff throughout the week, we will try and share it on social. So make sure you're following us at Notorious KRO, at Greasy Rules 14. And we will try and get that out to you. For the top 10, look at those numbers. Minus 650 for Chase, minus 500, minus 400. Jesus.
You want to know why that is? So another little interesting tidbit thing here. Since in this current format, at least 3 of the 4 Championship 4 drivers have finished inside the top 10, I believe, in all 8 races.
Wow. So, I mean, and it makes sense, right? They've been the best guys all year long.
Well, and I also think there's some sort of like unwritten rule where the other drivers know that these guys are driving for a championship and they're going to, get out of the way easier and let them race as opposed to racing them,
Yeah. And I wonder, Chase Elliott, Team Hendrick, if I'm Kyle Larson, if I'm Alex Bowman, who is back this week, which is exciting.
Yes.
Am I going to be a little more helpful? Am I going to find a way to push my guy if I'm Daniel Suarez? Can I push for Chastain, or can I block someone who's trying to catch up to Chastain? Those could be in play as well. So you'll want to consider that a little bit, not only in terms of the guy who could win the race, but if you're looking at placement points for some of those guys, could Suarez, you like him for a top 5, maybe go with a top 10 in case he tries to slow down traffic and gets caught up in something, or I don't know, just all things to consider as we head into the final race of the season.
Definitely, yeah.
So if we're looking at some of the names, Chase Briscoe at -125 to top 10 looks pretty appealing. Obviously had a nice run last week, has been pretty strong, and won the whole damn thing when we were here last time. Tyler Reddick is interesting after a very unfortunate Martinsville. It was a rough showing for him. Obviously, Kyle Busch.
I was just gonna say, so the guy at the very top of the list that's shown right now, Kevin Harvick. If you follow me on Twitter, you saw me tweet out, this guy is money at Phoenix. 18 straight top 10s here, 20 of the last 21 races he's finished inside the top 10 at this track. The fact that this is only posted at -170 is kind of surprising to me.
Yep.
Yes, he hasn't had the greatest speed, but he has, I think, top 10 in 2 of the last 4 races coming into this weekend. And Kevin Harvick is always a threat at this track, and especially coming down to the last race of the year where he hasn't really run as well as expected. And I apologize for my dog, who apparently doesn't like Kevin Harvick.
Is he a Kevin Harvick fan, or is he not a Kevin Harvick fan? I can't tell.
Yeah, apparently probably not a Kevin Harvick fan.
Kevin Harvick at Phoenix is the service academy under of football bets.
For sure.
Just rock solid.
So I'm going to smash bet that, by the way.
So we can look at some head-to-heads and stuff with him too. There could be some nice value. The other name that iFantasy Race actually pointed out over on the Twitter machine, let me see if I can find it because it was really good, was Cole Custer. Actually, not that one. Sorry, everybody.
While you look that up, I am also going to say I'm going to do it 2 weeks in a row, just so Kyle can post the picture. Brad Keselowski top 10 again at even money. He's riding hot. I'm going to do it again.
So Cole Custer at Phoenix 2022 spring race, he was 16th. 2021 he was 13th. 2021, the first one, he ended up finishing 31st, but he was running in the mid-teens, and on lap 297 got hit into the wall, and made a weird pit stop in 2020. Otherwise he would have finished strong, and he finished 9th in 2020 in the first spring race. So Cole Custer has actually been pretty solid, and maybe he's more of a look at him for DraftKings. Look at him. Maybe you can find a good matchup with him. But his top 10 number at 3-1 is interesting enough. I wish it was probably like 4. But he could be in that conversation and has been much better this year. So
especially
3-1 if you're looking for a little
last
bit,
week too.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a little bit of a longer shot, he could make sense as a longer shot top 10 play.
I like that. I do. I like that call, especially as we close out this season. Like it, with this being the last race of the year, I'm not going to be,
not going to be
careful,
shy,
I guess you could say, with my betting card.
Yeah. Weekly specials. Oh, let's look at all right, so we got Bubba versus Tyler Reddick. We have Chase versus Logano. I actually like that for Logano if I'm feeling strong about him. Obviously, yeah, that's I haven't put a single bet on the card yet. And I think that's going to be my first one, is Joey Logano over Chase Elliott. It's probably going to be dumb, but if you're giving me plus 130 with two championship drivers, and I've talked about how much I like Joey this week, and you're going to give me plus money, like I'm gonna line up and take that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do the same thing with you. I really think that Logano has a good shot this week. I'm kind of suspecting that the reason why his odds are as long as they are is because he hasn't looked good the last couple of races. But again, he was sandbagging, just kind of preparing for this weekend, in my opinion.
Harvick, I want to be on him, and I think head-to-head matchups could make sense. But Ryan Blaney is one of the drivers that I trust a lot at Phoenix, so I'm not going to take that.
Josh Chastain at plus 135 over Chase Elliott. Again, if you're going to give me that big a juice on somebody, I mean, I guess it's fade Chase Elliott week again.
Well, normally we were fading another Chase, and it works out pretty well. But I don't feel as strongly about fading this one, but I will. I definitely think it is the move. And then I guess are we going to line up and take the next one too? I mean, if you're going to give us plus money with 3 championship drivers, unless Chase wins, I feel like
we can go back and we can also bet Chase to win.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we'll have to look. We'll see if DraftKings will let us parlay it, because then we can get an even better number on him.
Yeah, we'll have to calculate all that out to see where.
I mean, and then we could just keep fading Chase by going to fade Chase Briscoe. But Chase Briscoe against Byron is kind of interesting.
I think it's just a situation again. I don't understand why you would bet a heavy favorite in a matchup when all it takes is a flat, and then that person's out for the race. I don't.
Yeah. And I know, and Byron started third, ended up finishing 18th. He was number 1 at the end of stage 1. He was 4th at the end of stage 2. But Briscoe started 6th, won the race, was in top 10 all 3 stages, was the second best driver rating right behind Ryan Blaney, right in front of Chase Elliott. That is an interesting number. And then Kyle.
I was just going to say, I also think it's extremely interesting, just going back to the championship drivers, that Chase Elliott is such a heavy favorite, considering he hasn't finished better than, I think it's 5th in the last 3 trips here since he won the championship. He's got a fifth, and an 11th place run here in the desert. And he's been okay at the other similar tracks, and he's riding 4 consecutive 10th or worse finishes coming into this weekend. He is not looking like the guy that should be as heavy of a favorite going into this championship race. And I feel like they're pricing him as if this was 2020 again, where he won the championship. It's interesting to me that they would post the odds like that.
Yep. I'm also fading Christopher Bell a little bit by taking Logano at plus 110 and Chastain at plus 120. I'm just hoping Logano and Chastain. I'm hoping Chastain 1, Logano 2, and then I just win all my bets and I win all the money. Yeah. Hamlin over Larson. I actually like Larson's side, but I don't really want to line up to bet the minus 125.
I'm actually taking Hamlin in that
okay, show bet. Put it on the board. Final bet of the season. Larson, Blaney, Hamlin, Harvick. Kind of like Blaney here at 3-1.
Ooh, we actually have those?
They have some groups for us. Busch, Briscoe, Byron, Truex. Brad K over Bowman, Almirola, and Suarez.
I mean, they're all even price, so.
All right, so let's do this. Oh, it's not letting us parlay it. It let me do it last year with Larson.
Of course not.
Oh, verify account to place bet. I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know.
What are you trying to do? You're trying to do Chase Elliott to win the race and what?
And to win the championship. It let us do it last year, but maybe they took that feature away. I don't know.
Let's see.
I can head over to.
Oh nope, cannot parlay. I just looked it up.
BetMGM.
I do find it interesting though that it says 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. The odds are worse for Chastain and Logano. I would much rather bet them at 4-1 to win the race, because if they win the race, they're going to win the championship. I mean, I don't see how they're going to win and not win the championship.
Right. And I'm also excited because the NFL slate, especially in the afternoon, is going to be dog shit. So
there's only 2 games in the
NASCAR is getting the big screen for the finale. I don't know, but MGM's not letting me do it either. So we can figure that out.
Yeah, we'll have more at the end of the week for sure. I'm sure they'll come out with more stuff, especially after qualifying.
It's very bizarre for the whole season for like them to have all these amazing bets, and then for the biggest race of the year outside of Daytona, they're like, nah, here's what you get. Congratulations. All right, Brian, should we just recap the cards, give the people a best bet, and get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right. Kevin Harvick, top 10, minus 170. Let's put that on there. Let's see what happens. We will look and see if we can't find better odds somewhere and actually be able to get decent odds. But we will take what DraftKings is giving us, and we'll go from there. Just adding a couple things. Okay, so this is where we sit. Let me close this. So I have Logano over Chase Elliott. I should probably put Elliott here because I don't want Briscoe to get upset at me. And Chastain over Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell over Chase Elliott. So I need Elliott out the paint real quick. All plus odds. Thank you, DraftKings. I will also take the 110 for Logano over Bell. I will also take the plus 120 at Ross over Bell. I added the Kevin Harvick top 10 at minus 170 for 4 units. And I added the Chase Briscoe top 10 at minus 125. I'm just going to do 3 there. Brian, are you joining me on Joey Logano?
I'm just doing it as a little bit of a hedge, just because the line is 4-1. I think there's a good shot that he wins the race. So with me holding the outrights on Bell and Chastain, apparently it's just, please, Lord, do not let Chase Elliott.
See, now I'm reevaluating everything. If you're on Joey Logano, things are not going to go well for us.
All right. So, I mean, as you can see, my card is pretty short right now. I got Logano on an outright at 4-1 for 2 units. Kevin Harvick, top 10, minus 170. This is probably my favorite bet of the week. I'm going to go with a strong 5-unit play, but again, it's the last race of the year, so I'm getting pretty heavy here. Brad K has looked incredible the last few races. I mean, he's looked a lot better. So I'm going to add him top 10 plus 100. I'm going to do a little 3-unit play on that. I got Hamlin over Larson. I really like the way Hamlin's racing right now. Logano over Elliott. Chastain over Elliott. I'm going to go for a 3-unit play there. And then I got Bell over Elliott at plus 105. And I'm going to go with a 2-unit play there.
Yeah, I mean, I am a little worried. It seems like you're trying to mush the starting grids with Logano and Keselowski on your card. But this is what the season has done to us. This is where we've gotten. So I like where you're sitting. Okay, Brian, I went through mine. I added the Larson over Hamlin just for shits and gigs on the show bet. What is going to be your best bet as we sit here Wednesday with a limited of betting options? What are you looking at? What is your favorite pick?
Well, after looking at it, we're both on it pretty heavily. I'm going to go with Ross Chastain over Chase Elliott. I'm riding with the Watermelon Man and the Watermelon Cojones, Ross the Boss himself. I think that he's going to send us to victory lane and bring us home a championship at very large outright odds.
All I'm saying is you better pick up a watermelon
don't
sometime
worry.
between now and Sunday. Find yourself a tarp or something and get ready to smash that, because if we cash those tickets, there will be a video of us smashing it mixed in with Ross, because you know he's going to smash it if he wins.
Oh,
if
for
he wins
sure.
the championship, they're going to have a freaking watermelon truck back up, and
they're gonna bring in one of those kiddie pools full of watermelons, and he's just gonna have a sledgehammer and smash the shit out of them.
Yes. The card, despite not having a ton of options, is getting heavy. The units are going up. We are getting wild.
Yeah, so take the unit plays with a grain of salt this week. It's the last race of the year, so let's get crazy.
Chase Briscoe, you are my best bet as we sit here. Minus 125 for the guy who won the race, who has looked good in mile-and-a-half situations, who almost won last week at Martinsville and had us holding a 150-1 ticket. And honestly, if that race is played out a little bit differently, I think there's a world where he wins it. So Chase Briscoe, I have been fading you all season long. This week, I am going to ride with you. This is the truly upside down betting card. Brian is on Keselowski and Logano. I am riding with Chase Briscoe. Let's make all the money this weekend. That is Brian Twining. I am Kyle Robert. If you are enjoying what we're doing, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. We will have NASCAR content coming out throughout the offseason. We will hopefully have some guests joining us to kind of get you ready for 2023. But enjoy the card. Enjoy. Let us know down in the comments your best bets as we sit here Wednesday. Who is winning the NASCAR Championship? There's 4 names. Pick one of them. Let us know down in the comments. Brian and I will be back with you on Sunday morning. We will have all your DraftKings thoughts. We will have more bets. We will probably be talking more watermelon. Who knows? We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.